Welcome back to the Niche Podcast. Glad you guys tuned back into YouTube. Today, I have a treat for you. I have two niche community members, Tristan Adkins and Matt Reed. Welcome, fellas. How are we doing?
Wonderful. Blessed and highly favored today.
Love it. We were just talking off the air that Matt decided to wear his flamingo shirt in honor of my daughter, Piper, who adores this shirt. So we both have a fan in Piper Frankie, so I will make sure that she knows. And she may be our only viewer on this podcast, but doggone it, she's high quality.
Yes.
Quality over quantity, right?
This is correct. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, guys. I know we met, give or take, a year ago when the niche community launched. But tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. So I'll kind of just brief background on me, and then I'm sure Matt will kind of give you his spiel. Grew up Jonesboro, Arkansas, went to ASU, Arkansas State University, and kind of had an entrepreneurial bug since college. Ran my head through a wall a few times, tried a few different things, and ended up working for a real estate investor as an acquisitions person, and really got to know and understand the business. And one thing led to another. Me and Matt ended up doing a deal together. He did really well on that deal. We ended up doing another deal together. He ended up backing out. I ended up taking his earnest money, and then it was love at the second deal ever since. We ended up buying a rental together. He's like, man, second one went so good, we got to continue it on. But we bought a rental together. We dipped our toes in the water and realized, we've got some complementary strengths and weaknesses, and also Matt's character is just a very high standard. And so that was pretty attractive to me because I had some relationships before that I didn't feel like we're up to par, and so it's been good. There's definitely been a lot of learnings to be done, but I feel like we definitely complement each other, and we're kind of got similar visions in place.
Beautiful. Mr. Reed, tell us about yourself, my friend.
Well, for me, I used to be I graduated A-State. We actually went to school at the same time. We didn't know each other in our college days because I was in engineering. So graduated mechanical engineering, went to work at Nestle as a project engineer. So I managed all the capital budget spending and all of the projects with improvement in the factory. Did that for 4 or 5 years. I can't remember how long I did that, but culture there was to, work your booty off until you retire, super high stress. Like we would work, like I think the longest straight I worked, and some people work way longer than this, but it was like 45, 50 days straight without a break during some of these CapEx projects. Super stressful. There was a lot of money to be made and doing that, but it wasn't really what I wanted. I kind of wanted to feel like I was part of like I was solving Nestle's problems all the time. I wanted to solve my own problems and kind of have my own baby sort of thing.
So you caught the entrepreneurial bug.
Yeah. And then I bought my first duplex, and then got a huge tax return that year that I bought my duplex. I was like, holy cow, dude. I was expecting to have to pay. And I got this massive tax return. I was like, I need to start buying some more real estate. And so then, he sold me a deal. Then we started doing stuff together. And so now I'm more of the integrator in our business. And, we bought a bunch of multifamily. And then now here we are, primarily helping folks in foreclosure.
Beautiful. Obviously, building our companies, having the right people in the company is kind of the utmost importance. You're kind of capped by the quality of your people. And you guys said that you had complementary roles. What are each of your roles? And Matt and Tristan, what are kind of some of your weaknesses that the other kind of helps uplift?
Yeah, it's a good question. If you've read Rocket Fuel, which I'm sure you're extremely aware of, some folks may not be. Um, I'm more of the visionary type. Um, Matt's definitely integrator type. So basically, right now, in the future, it would like to be just, hey, visionary, answering just the absolute hardest things to, eh, problems percolate up. And so it's the problems that are like no one else should be able to answer or just doesn't have the experience to, like big decisions. Those would go up to me in the ideal world. But right now, I'm acting as the visionary. I act as the sales manager. So making sure we've got our finger on the pulse with our acquisition guys and training and all of that. I also am trying to continuously put structure and ideas into reducing friction
Mm.
from all of our processes because there's always inefficiencies. And so as you continue to grow out, those inefficiencies, if they still stay there, they're going to scale out as well. And so really trying to make sure our foundation is as strong as it possibly can be before we start to try to build on top of it. And then strategy as well. If we get free cash flow, where do we want to allocate it and how do we want to do it and how much should we hold and when should we raise private money? When should we use our own capital? Things like that. Matt, you want to talk about your role?
Yeah, so if Tristan is definitely more of like a lateral thinker, like, you know, he's like if he's thinking this way, I'm thinking this way.
Mm.
Um, it's very interesting. And so my role in our business is, managing dispositions. And then anytime like Tristan comes up with some sort of idea, it's my job to work on implementing it. So like, Tristan will have like ideas for like KPIs that we need to integrate, or like if we need to update our CRM, I'll manage getting our CRM updated, whether that's through a contractor or I just do it myself. I manage all of our remodels. We're doing less of those now. Last year we did a ton of them. We're doing much less now, and we're kind of growing more in regards to the wholesale side of our business, but we are still taking some down. So,
What makes you feel like you should be doing less flips and more wholesaling? Do you have a crystal ball for the rest of us?
well,
More about Matt being stretched. We just needed to add constraints into the business because
yeah,
I felt like Matt would be better served doing other things than managing contractors. I'd rather him be managing Dispo than managing contractors in our position.
Yeah, for me, I've been pretty transparent with people over the years. We have never figured out flipping at a high level. I think I've shared that our average assignments, give or take $28,000 a year. Our average flip is $19,000 a year, and we put hundreds of hours into a flip and 2 or 3 hours into an assignment.
yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, the numbers don't make sense. But
Yeah, we were spending a ton of time on
yeah.
managing flips, like you're saying.
So let's go back to the beginning of your relationship. I know you guys met and it seemed to be kind of a match made in heaven. And a lot of people kind of struggle entering into a partnership relationship like this. Was it smooth sailing from the beginning for you guys, or was it kind of bumpy? How did you navigate that to where it's like, I know that this guy is my long-term business partner? How did that look for you all?
It'd be interesting hearing Matt's input on this.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
For me, it was Tristan was never the type of guy I hung out with, like in college. Tristan's a frat guy, I still give him a hard time. For me, I would say there was like a little bit of resistance there at the very beginning because like he's literally like I've never associated with Tristan's personality type because like in college I was always with engineers, and you know how engineers are, you know uh like that was like who my circle of friends were. So um definitely needed to gain some trust there at the beginning, which is why we bought just like a couple of houses together first, like, hey, how's this work? Kind of feeling it out sort of thing. And then, um, you know, uh, yeah. And then, once we started doing more deals together, trust comes. And then, now like I know that he'll do anything for me and my family and vice versa. So,
Tristan, let's hear your side of the story.
Well, I have more reference points than Matt. And so I had been in some previous partnerships that weren't the best. And so I was coming in with a little bit of experience. And so I think the most important thing is going to be character. Okay. So what kind of integrity does this person have? What's it going to look like when things get tough? Like, do you want him in the foxhole with you? Or are they going to hightail it out? Because business is like what, 1% about like the wins and 99% about the difficult things and pushing through. And so character was a huge thing. Um, Also capabilities. Okay. Like how do you think? And so, linear thinking's great. That's not me. I have to train myself to think that way. Lateral thinking is more like what I think. And so like what is lateral thinking? Lateral thinking is like okay, I see something in this one industry and I can see how it can apply in this specific industry. I can see patterns that way much easier, I think, than a lot of, and I feel like that goes into like deal structuring. I'm very good with like deal structuring or having conversations and like, okay, if we're up against a brick wall, how can we like think about this creatively? So that's a strength that I bring to the table. Um, but I think Matt's really good about seeing the details and how do you come up with the execution of those details. And so, we think about our business in a 5 cycle loop. And if I'm getting off a tangent, then let me know. But what's the goal? What pain points are you encountering that's preventing you from reaching the goal? What's the root cause of those pain points? And then what's a potential solution that can solve for that? And then are we actually executing that new process that we have put into play? And that's how we evolve. And so I'm not good at all 5 of those steps. I can uncover pain. I can somewhat uncover root causes. I can even kind of help come up with the process itself. But like when it
you're
comes to
good at asking
executing,
questions.
yeah, good at uncovering and asking questions as well. But like when it comes to executing and just like being extremely consistent and just dialed in every single day, I'm all like that lateral thinking, like things come at me and I'm wanting to go in a different direction. So I've got to stay disciplined as well and just enough to continue to let us evolve, but not so much where like we're doing so many things that we're not doing anything. So it's a
Gotcha.
balancing act.
Gotcha. So you guys kind of did the whole date before you marry concept. How long did you guys how long time wise was it before it's like I really trust this guy? I think this could be a long-term thing. I think the audience needs to know that when you meet someone, it's not like when we have a relationship with our wives, let's say, we don't just meet them day one and get married. There's a dating process. And then we're like, oh, our core values align. And then we get married if everything works out right. What was that timeline like for you guys?
Yeah, we bought our first house together. And it was so dip our toes in the water that we didn't even have an LLC. It was just both of our personal names on
Okay.
the house. That was in November. And then I think, um,
The next one was in January.
yeah, we had formed an
What year was that?
entity.
What year?
So it's 2020, end of 2020, when we bought our first house. We bought that house. Then a month later, we had formed our entity. We're like, oh, like this isn't like so bad. And it was just at that time where prices started to skyrocket. So we're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, yeah, this is like everyday normal life. And so then in January, so we had that entity formed, and then I started going hunting for multifamily pretty aggressively. I think Matt was still at his job. I don't know when you exactly left. So it was, let's buy this house together. Okay, let's get this entity formed. Okay, Matt, you keep your job because that's going to look good for financing. And then I'll go hunt for these multifamily. And then when you've got available time, help rehab the stuff that we're taking down together. And then we did that. When did you quit your job, Matt?
It was 2022, summer of 2022.
So a whole year, over a
Really
year.
2 years, 2.5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. He had his job. He and we were and he was basically managing it part time on the rehabs as we were growing, and we got to like 130 or 40 doors. Basically, me just going balls to the wall trying to find these deals ourselves. And then we realized, okay, the cash flow, we had it bass backwards. Okay. We were trying to go passive income first and worry about active income second. And we realized that. And so then we had to make a pivot. And as we were making that pivot, I think Matt had already quit his job, but we had accomplished some cool stuff together. So it's not like we couldn't figure it out. Like we were able to do some things. And so then we've kind of transitioned times since then.
Yeah. So obviously, it took a lot of action to get to 140 doors. I only got up to about 35 doors. So for you guys to accomplish that within a handful of years is significant. But I imagine with how the market changed and, you know, gathering all those doors really quickly, there were probably some challenges in your business. Can you kind of go over some of those? Because obviously you gained your partnership. That all went really well. You guys gelled. You're getting all of these deals. It's like everything's perfect. What were some of the pitfalls or struggles that you encountered?
We didn't know anything. We didn't know anything about anything. We should not have been buying all those properties.
Yeah.
We had no operational standards. We were hoping and praying everything would go well. We had no reference points.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were bleeding cash that we didn't have. So we had to learn pretty quick.
What was making you bleed cash? What were some of the things that came
I'll
up?
tell you one right now. The first thing we did was we didn't have any idea how to interview or hire a property manager.
Okay.
Number one. And so, obviously we grew pretty quick. And I was telling someone at the meet a few weeks ago, we had accumulated somewhere around 30 doors within, 8 or 9 months. Well, we had a bogus property manager, who over the course of like 2 or 3 months ended up having like over $35,000 in delinquency.
Mm.
And, here Tristan and I are, we don't have any money whatsoever.
Because were you using basically all of your money?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're leveraging everything.
Leverage to the gills.
The classic Burr strategy where you buy it and you get extra debt and you fix it up with the debt and you're living off the debt and freaking all of the things. And so we weren't collecting any rent payments. And so it was like, okay, we're about to freaking lose everything if we don't solve this. And so we showed up in our property manager's office one day, like unannounced. We're like, hey, we're having a sit down right now. And we set expectations with her. They
were not met.
Yeah, weren't met. And within a week, she had a cancellation agreement in front of us. And we agreed on like a settlement. We had to pay her some money. But then we went over to another property manager. We had them in our back pocket. We had interviewed them, set expectations with them, had a plan with them, just like we did with her when we showed up in our office. And by the end of the year, our new property manager had collected every bit of that past due payment except $3,000 because the stars aligned for us because we bought right around COVID. And so there was I'm sure you remember, there was a lot of rent relief going on. So we were able to,
like that rent relief,
take advantage of that with rent relief. And there was one tenant we had to evict. Yeah. But we ended up collecting every bit of it, but at $3,000.
So obviously you guys went through the normal arc of taking blind action. You were able to get a lot of units, which were really good. Then you made a bad hire and they weren't able to accomplish things. Then you got things kind of back in order. Why not keep pursuing that? Or are you?
It's more of a passive strategy now. I mean, like at the end of the day, the it cash flows, but it's not enough to move the needle for like your everyday to day things. Like great long-term wealth builder, and it's great for depreciation on your income. But Michael, we weren't making no damn income.
Yeah.
So what are we depreciating? We ain't depreciating anything. We had it backwards. And so
Hopefully you can roll that forward to another year.
yes,
that's exactly what we did. Yes.
So you
but we
finally
weren't thinking about it that
realized
way.
that what a lot of people do, and I love creative finance and taking things down for passive income, but what we don't realize is, hey, it takes a lot of properties to start getting that passive income, and then we realize that passive isn't so passive, right?
And especially when it's the only thing you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that can happen. Like, hey, the tenant didn't pay. The big HVAC unit went down. The roof goes down. And then all of a sudden, any cash flow that you had can be gone. And like we said, the real advantage of these properties is the tax advantages. And if you're not making a lot of active income, well, a lot of those tax advantages don't help you out. So you knew you wanted to do passive. You wanted to keep accumulating these rentals, but you knew that you needed to start getting more active with your income. So where did things start after that? Like, where did you go after you accumulated these 140 rentals?
So in the meantime, we were doing some single family. I would say 90% of our effort was on the multifamily. And I had, again, this is my fault, really. I mean, I let us do this. I'm not going to say poor me. I mean, it was probably a good decision over the long term, but it definitely hurt during the short term. We were doing some single family stuff. And during that time, I mean, we're in a smaller market. It's not like super, super crazy competitive with buyers just trying to, shark world. We were doing a few single families, and it was really just like it kind of just fell in our lap almost. It was that easy where you had folks come in, yeah, I'll do that. Okay. And I would lock it up. And we would just, I mean, a lot of them, we weren't even hardly doing any work to them. We would just plop them back on the market.
Yeah.
30K rip, 40K rip, in and out, like fast. Easy.
Yeah, during that COVID time, it was easy to do that when prices were going up quickly.
Yeah. And so that was, we looked back at our finances, and that's what had kept us afloat, this half-ass effort of this active income. And like you said, HVAC or a roof or something, a big CapEx item comes up, we're in a bad spot. We are leveraged up to our gills. Okay. We've got to figure something out, or we're going to be back in a bad spot. And so we transitioned. We did a bunch of flips ourselves. Things started slowing down. We decided, hey, let's diversify a little bit. And so now we've got a healthy mix where, yeah, we are still flipping properties. But we've got a network of guys that we're sending deals out to as well. So we're not too leveraged at any point in time, and we've got a good capital base. If some big CapEx items does come up, we're not going to be like in a terrible spot. And luckily, most of our stuff, pretty much almost everything is stabilized at this point.
Beautiful. I'm glad those are stabilized. You obviously had started the multifamily side. You'd started kind of doing the single family flipping or wholesaling thing. For the first couple years of your business on the single family side, what did that business look like in terms of, was it just you guys? Did you have team members? What were the marketing channels? Kind of give me a 30,000 foot view of what that business looked like.
for a while, it was me, Matt, and we had one acquisitions guy. And then we were doing everything except direct mail at one point. We tried it all, throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Um, and so, you know, we got in a weird spot where we were paying a lot of money in marketing and we were doing flips
Mm-hmm.
and things were slowing down. And so cash is leaving at day one and cash is leaving every single day until, some of these would sell. And so um we we probably didn't have a good enough grip on it like we should have. And so that's just that can put you in a bad spot if you miss underwrite a few deals. Now you're stuck on the hook and you've got that holding cost. It can be dangerous. And so, those are things that whether we spent too much, like, we'd always try new marketing channels and some of those didn't pan out. And so that's just sunk cost. So we got, that put us in a tight spot too, a little bit. And then we had to let go of the acquisitions guy kind of on a mutual thing. I got back in there for, I don't know, a few months, 2, 3, 4 months, probably brought in 2 acquisitions guys afterwards. So that way we could leverage our bets a little bit. And then both of those guys are actually still with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do still generate some leads on that end. It's a lot lower. Like our personal brand stuff, we have people come through. But we focus more on like niche opportunities now.
Yeah. For the longest time, I'm a visionary type as well. So I'm always wanting to go fast and furious and like do different things all the time. And for a long time, we were doing traditional marketing as well. We were doing the TV, we were doing the PPC and the PPL. And those really worked well for a long time. But then we started seeing ROI drop. We used to get 10 to 12x ROI on those, and then they started dropping down to 2, 3, 4x. Obviously, Tristan's more of the visionary side. Matt, you're more of the integrator side. What was your viewpoint during this time where the market started slowing down and the returns weren't quite as good, and maybe the time that it took to get your capital back started lengthening? What was kind of your viewpoint during that time?
Well, basically, Tristan and I were both in the same boat. Like, we got to spend money to make money. Like, and that's it's like a fallacy about damn near. Because you always hear that saying all the time. And so we were convinced, and in all of the groups we had been in, convinced us that's what we needed to do. So it was like, okay, let's continue to pour more money on this and bring more leads in, blah, blah, blah. Watch our KPIs, make sure we're bringing in the money we want to at the end of the month. And we were. And then it's like, it would just seem there was never like a ton of money in the bank account at the end of the month, which is
What
frustrating.
type of marketing were we doing? Like, how much money were we spending on marketing every month?
We spent probably close to 100,000 in a quarter.
Okay, so you were give or take $30,000 a month or so. Okay, so quite a bit. How many deals do you think you were generating from that each month back then? If you had to guess, I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
If we were probably in a 2.5 to 3x return, so probably 75 to 90 if we're
right. And we were doing more flips last year too. And so like if your ROI is only 2 or 3x and your cash conversion cycle is 180 days or 90 days or whatever,
and you're spending 30,000 a month in marketing, and then your holding cost is another 30,000.
Yeah. Golly, it was stressful.
Yeah.
I've run this exact business, right? Where it's like, I know we're getting deals and the deals are profitable most of the time and we're making money, but where is the money? It's not in my account, and it can be really stressful because, as anyone knows, a very successful business that's making a lot of money can go out of business.
Yep.
Cash flow issues are what puts businesses, they go bye-bye, basically. So you guys were doing the multifamily thing. You're getting deals on the single family side of things, but cash conversion cycle's long. There's not a whole lot of money in your account at any given time. And then we at some point about a year ago or a little bit more met. What led you to start going down the path of doing niche deals? How did we even meet?
Well, I'll tell you. His name's Rashad,
That's right.
and he's stinking awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a bad thing to say about that guy. And I wish I could have met him at the event. But yeah, I mean, we met Rashad in another mastermind that we're in, and he was like, "Hey, you should maybe check out what we got working on." And he showed us the CRM that he had in Podio. He showed it to me, and I was like, "Dang."
So for those that don't know, Rashad is my technical co-founder at Niche. He's the brains behind our operation of nationwide data and uploading that into a CRM and marketing that. I met him through a mutual friend, Chandler, and then both Rashad and I wanted to get into Niche List. It was my passion. I'd done hundreds and hundreds of deals doing that, and Rashad wanted to build technology around it, and he had introduced Tristan and Matt to Niche Lists. So you guys came into the community, give or take, a little bit over a year ago when it launched. Tell me a little bit about how things have shifted a little bit. Obviously, you guys did the traditional model, traditional marketing, hoping to get big returns, but they were going low, just like it was for anybody. How have things changed a little bit over the last 12 months?
Well, we're hardly getting any inbound. That's for sure. We're definitely much more outbound heavy at this point. Processes are changed. You know, it's a different process at the end of the day. These folks have their own persona, and you got to learn it. And it takes a little bit of time. So we stuck with it. We've been consistent. I will say our marketing cost has definitely gone way down. So that's helped with our cash flow cycle. And then
what does that look like? You were spending give or take 30 grand a month to get 2 or 3x return. What does that look like now? I know you may not have run those statistics, but give us a
probably
ballpark.
under 5,000 a month or lower, probably in marketing spend. That is. So it's that saves us some cash, and that frees it up where we can invest somewhere else if need be. And so that's helped a lot. And then also, you know, we're just not doing as many flips right now. And so, you know, our marketing cost has gone lower, and then our ability to cash in on some of these deals have sped up. It makes for much healthier business cash flow wise in the short term, you know. And so now it's about continuously churning this cash, and we're getting a little bit more aggressive picking some stuff up where, you know, not necessarily, you know, if we don't have to postpone, we can just buy it, you know, we'll do that, which gives us more opportunities. Because some of the times, you know, postponement, they won't do it. So that's been interesting. But it's definitely been a step in the right direction for sure.
Do you guys have some numbers? Maybe you have it, Matt. You've gone down from 30,000 a month in marketing down to 5,000. Our ROI before was 2 to 3.5x, something like that. Do you have a gauge on what that's looking like for you now? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I could run a quick report and tell you what our market.
Come on, Mr. Integrator.
But
You got to know these answers. I'm just giving you.
but it's a lot less. Like it's crazy. And the deal size is a lot larger. You know, our deal size.
Give me a picture. Give me that picture.
So our deal size previously was hovering around $10,000 to $12,000 average, and then now it's going up of like $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay.
So
we've gone
we're getting better and better.
So we've gone 2 or 2.5x higher on our average profit per deal, and our monthly spend has gone down 6x. Great, great, very good. Yeah. So tell me a little bit. You guys are obviously action takers. You went out and didn't know anything and acquired 140 rentals, which obviously requires some intelligence and some stick-with-itness, but you maybe didn't know everything. And I knew about that about you guys from the beginning, but in the community, I started giving instructions on what you should do to build these businesses. And these guys were the ones that would take those instructions and they would immediately go implement. So tell us a little bit about your business now. What does your team look like? What are your roles on the daily? Just so others that are looking to build up their businesses with niche style, what does that look like on the daily for you guys?
So we've got a really cool downtown office that we just picked up. We moved in here, I guess, a month or 2 months ago. You talked about the sign. We love that sign. We still got some decorating to do. So it's me and Matt in here, and then we've got 2 acquisition guys. We're playing around with having door knockers out in the field as well. We've seen some success with that, and that would be like in each market. And then we've got a follow-up specialist, so she's helping keep track of folks that are maybe falling through the cracks, because some of these folks, it's high touch. And then we've got an admin assistant, so any lower level tasks, $5 an hour, $10 an hour, we want to try to delegate that to her as much as possible. And that's it.
How many people was that?
There's 7.
7.
Yep.
Very good. Yeah, I remember my favorite time in our company's history was when we were in that like 5 to 8 people window, where it's just like you're still active in the deals, but you're doing a little bit of the getting out of doing stuff in the field, and you're working on things with other people. That's great. But obviously it took some time to build up the confidence to hire these folks. Okay? You've been in the mode where you've lost team members and it was back to you guys. Now you're up to 5 other hires, I guess. You needed some proof of concept. And I know a lot of people listening are like, well, it's cool for Tristan and for Matt and for Michael building up their teams. They got all these deals going, but that's not how it works for me. So could you guys share kind of your first experience with a niche deal, kind of how it fell into your lap, some of the challenges that you had to overcome to get that deal to the finish line, just so people know it's just not an easy road. You're going to have to go through some struggles. What was that like for you guys?
We had pulled our own data, and we had a gentleman that basically said he was interested in selling, and we're like, hey, great, the numbers on it after repair value, let's call it like 225. And he was basically showing some interest in selling it around 130 to 140. Okay, that seems like there's some meat on this bone. Like, let's continue to pursue it. So I can't remember if I had originally talked to him or maybe one of our acquisition guys did. I think one of our acquisition guys did. He sent it to me to underwrite. I looked at it, went to the land commissioner or the assessor site, and it showed that it was already in a bank's name. Like, oh my gosh, it already got foreclosed on. Damn. And I just said, hey, you know what? Let's just call the bank up. What's it gonna hurt, right? So called the bank up, and I don't know if we'll ever come across one of these ever again, but somehow, some way, the lender said, yeah, we'll sell it. And I didn't throw out a number first, and they said, we'll sell it for I think they said like 74. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I misheard. I must have misunderstood what he said. And so I'm just trying to play Rico Suave. Okay. Yeah, let me see what we can do. And so if we do that 74, like we can close this like immediately, no issues. Now the guy was still living there. Okay. So there was some hair on this deal.
Yeah.
And so, hey, we made the offer. We'll pick it up 74, buy it as is. We'll deal with the guy. We were already talking to him. And so we had bought it. We reached back out to the gentleman. Hey, we own this deal. Let us put some money in your pocket and help you get to another place and not let this get ugly. And so we worked it out. There's a little bit of risk there, not a terrible amount. And then We didn't even flip it. Then we just sold it to another investor, and we were like, okay, that was freaking awesome. That was awesome. And so we were kind of doing that too, just to supplement our other stuff, what we had going on, and that kind of opened our eyes up to what is possible. But that was like the first main one where like, okay, let's see, if there's others out there like this where maybe the bank had a personal relationship with this guy, they've already foreclosed on it, kind of feels yucky to kick someone out of their house that they've been living in. I don't know what the reasons were. I didn't really ask, but we could come in and we can solve for that. There's value there for us. And so where else are there opportunities where we can be more valuable than a commoditized offer at the end of the day?
Yeah, guys, what you have to realize with niche deals is that, yes, they can make you a lot of money and they can make your business do very, very well. But at the same time, there is the emotional income side of things to where I had done hundreds of these things on the normal side of things. Hey, someone calls from TV, you make a 40 or 50 grand rip, and it's like, yeah, that's great. I'm glad I made some money, but I don't really know if I provided a whole lot of value in this situation other than an offer. And it started to feel kind of hollow, I guess. And then when I started getting into these niche deals, yeah, you make good money on them, but it's like, I really helped this person. I stopped their foreclosure sale. I helped them box up their home. I helped them move to another house. I helped them do all these things. And at the end, they were so thankful. I don't know if you guys have, maybe you can tell me a story here in a second, but I've gotten so many times where people are like, you saved my life. Like you were my guardian angel, these types of things. And it's like, wow, I feel like I made a lot of money and I really served this person, got some emotional income. Do you guys have a story kind of like that where it's like, hey, I did really well financially, but at the same time, I also did a lot for this seller and I think I really set them up for the future.
Yeah, we two come to mind. One we did was in
Millington
Northwest
deal,
Arkansas.
the
Yeah,
Millington deal,
yeah, and
probably
now
even more so.
yeah, there's two we can talk about here briefly, but one in Northwest Arkansas, the guy's gentleman, the gentleman's mom had owned the property, but she was in a nursing home, and so they had shut off all mail to the house. He didn't even know it was in foreclosure until we talked to him the day before, and basically we were able to buy that property. We drove to the attorney's office the next day with a cashier's check, not even knowing if it was enough or not, and basically convinced them to rescind the sale, even though the check wasn't enough. And we just so happened we were literally closing on another deal that same day that gave us enough cash to pay that payoff off. And so we paid that payoff off. It had actually went to auction. We rescinded the auction. And so we were able to get this guy like
They ended up walking away with 200,000. Yeah.
$200,000 to help with his mom in the nursing home. And then we were able to get it resold, and we made like around 140,000
Wow.
on it.
So this is a house that foreclosed or was going, it did foreclose, yes?
Yeah, basically. The bank rescinded the sale, yeah.
So the house foreclosed. Tristan and Matt put in the effort to get this sale reversed, got the homeowner $200,000 to help with their future. And at the same time, they provided so much value that they were able to get life-changing money. Guys, sometimes we forget on these deals that we make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 how much money that actually is. Like you guys came from, or at least Matt came from the W-2 world. I for sure did. I had to work 80 hours a week as a teacher and a coach to make 44 grand a year. And you guys made 3 times that amount of money with this one deal. So definitely life-changing. Matt, do you have a deal that comes to the top of your head that it's just like, wow, I'm really proud of our team for what we accomplished on this one?
Yeah, well, and like Tris was saying earlier, like he's really good about thinking laterally and structuring deals, and this is definitely one where we had to structure it uniquely. But basically, very similar situation. It was actually a guy in a nursing home, and he was on 10 care. And so 10
Medicaid,
care,
essentially.
10 care and Medicaid. And I'm sure you know this, like Medicaid's like a double-edged sword. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you sell your house for what it's worth and you get money in your bank account, it's like, okay, well, we taking your health insurance away. And then if you sell it for less than it's worth, then it's like, okay, they can come at you after
We're
you
penalizing you for what you should have made.
Because you gave a gift.
so there is actually ways to structure it so that way you can, you can get creative and, involve people a whole hell of a lot smarter than me and Tristan. And it just came down to us being willing to, like, hey, like we told the seller this, we're like, hey, we've never done this before, but like we've heard of people doing it and we can try to do it and we'll stick our neck out for you to try to get this done because it's either this or you're going to lose everything. And so we stuck our neck out and um, we got an attorney involved and we were able to structure this deal. They were able to save their house. They got, I don't remember how much money they ended up
30,
walking away with.
30,000.
Yeah, 30,000. And then we ended up paying cash for it and getting it sold. And while I was at the property, like we were having problems with our lockbox, so I went out there. And so I ended up running into like a lady that lives down the street there, and she was like, "What are y'all gonna do with this home?" I was like, "Well, we're just gonna sell it." She's like, "My daughter wants to buy it." So like I was planning on selling it to like some cash buyer, and we ended up selling it to a lady at retail price. And so like the stars just so happened to align on that property. But like, just being willing to ask questions and, solve problems that like no one else is willing to solve.
And that's the key line right there. Real estate investors that get paid well in the niche world are the people that are willing to solve problems that no one else are willing to solve. We just had two examples. Number one, a Medicaid situation, which can be really complicated. A lot of people just let their house foreclose and all the equity is gone because they don't know what to do. These gentlemen figured out how to take care of that. Then there was another one where they were able to figure out how to rescind a foreclosure sale. And building these tools on your tool belt is what makes you be able to do more of these deals and more regularly serve these homeowners. And that's what our entire community is about at Niche, is going deep with this stuff. So let's paint a picture of what your guys' business was like before Niche. You guys obviously had some success. You're doing a lot of rentals. You were doing some deals, but cash flow wasn't great. How many deals were you doing a month before coming into the community?
About five.
Yeah.
5, 6.
Yeah.
A good month.
And then we had a Zoom yesterday. How many deals did you do last week? Obviously, it was a banner week, but
Yeah. We implemented some KPIs and stuff. We got 6 contracts last week.
6 contracts last week. Guys, the niche game can truly change your life, not just from like deal count, because not everyone wants to do a ton of deals. Some people just want to do a few deals here and there and it'd be life-changing for their family, right? But having these skills enables you to serve more homeowners, make more money, lower your overhead cost, because I've been there. I've been there where my overhead was $150,000 a month and you have to do 8 or 9 deals to even pay for that, okay? But what do you feel like the general culture of your company is now? Is it more lighthearted, more fun around the office compared to what it was in the past? Like, how have things changed on that front?
I'll talk on this. I think I'm more on the culture bearing side. Um, we have fun, but we also have standards. And so, I want all of our guys to be excellent. So what does excellence mean? Well, everyone has to define it in their own way. And so we have non-negotiables. And we have one-on-ones with our guys. Hey, what do you want? Okay. What personal goals do you want? Okay. And what does that look like? And how can that tie into the company? Because now when I get on to them, it's not about Atkins and Reed. Give a damn about that. Well, they do, but not as much as they care about themselves. How does this tie into what you've got, and how does that look? And so I try to, in fact, I think our standards in our operating, and we're probably tougher on our guys now than we were before, but it's not as stressful because I want to continuously get better, and I don't want us to have, that relief syndrome. Hey, we're doing good. We can rest on our laurels. No, none of that. We got to continue to double down and see how far we can take this and continue to get better because there's a whole heck of a lot of things that we can improve on. We're not even close
Yeah,
to achieving.
What I've seen with some of the best operators out there is that they treat their wholesaling organization almost like a professional sports franchise, to where it's like, we got to get the best players on our team. We got to train them up the best way possible. We got to put in their mind that they're a champion. Like all these things that sound kind of hokey from a business angle, but it's like the best people out there are really treating their business this way. So with that in mind, what's your guys' goals for the next 12, 24 months? Do you have kind of a vision moving forward of what you're hoping to accomplish with your team? I don't know if you guys have discussed this, but what does that look like?
Matt may get more into specifics on numbers. I try to, I'm not super obsessed with a certain number that we're trying to accomplish. I just want to continue this evolution machine and get better and better and just figure and the process will take care of itself. If you focus on the inputs, the outputs will come. I would like to see, in 12 months, we're somewhere between 2 and 3 million in revenue and our profit margins 50, 60%, somewhere around there. And, it's so down pat that, Matt can go off for a week or whatever, and we're not struggling, or if I can do something. And I'd like to be able to then use that capital to redeploy into probably bigger commercial deals and tie our team into those commercial deals. Wow. Where now, they're getting some equity. They're building some generational wealth as well. Because, I don't know about you. I don't want to pour into some guy that's only going to be here for 12 months and then he's going to be a competitor down the street. I want to pour into these guys for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're still with us and they're growing every single year and getting better and better and better. So not only is our, capital compounding, but our guys are compounding too. And our team is compounding. So it's just leverage on top of leverage on top of leverage. And like, I just want them to be extremely well off at the end of the day as well. And that's like satisfying to me. But Matt, you can tell us where your head's at.
I'm right there with you, like I dream of the day, whenever, like I was talking to our acquisitions guy, Joe, when he's like got this car that he really wants. It's a BMW. And like, I just dream of the day, like I pull up in the parking lot and he's got his car that he wants.
It's very fulfilling. We talked about this at the event. Like we want to pour into our guys and we want to create development for our guys to attract A players and really good talent. Like the opportunity, like we want to cast a vision big enough where someone that's really good can fit in that and be content and know that they're continuously growing too. Like our acquisitions guy's getting, I won't bring up a name, but he's making like $15,000 this month. Like that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And so we want to be able to provide those opportunities for other folks as, coming in as well. And having that environment, that's magic, where you have people that are all in the same mission, that are all growing. That's a rare thing. And you got to cherish it and you got to and let that thing grow. And, we want to continue to get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off. And I just want to be the best coach I can possibly. I want to be the Nick Saban of this damn wholesaling business and our, Atkins and Reed business. That's how I see myself.
I'm pumped up. I'm ready to get out of there. Coach Tristan's got me going. All right. I have a few announcements. I want you guys to take the next minute or two, think of the best advice that you want to leave the listeners with. But a couple of announcements. Number one, we have the niche community that has wonderful people like Tristan and Matt, completely a nationwide network of folks that are completely focused on serving sellers and making our businesses better. So if you want to sharpen your axe with a community of like-minded people, check out the niche community. That link's in the description. But guys, I want the last wonderful piece of advice that you would leave for people that are listening, that are going through the economy right now, and maybe deals are a little bit harder to get, and you actually have to be good in this business, and maybe they're a little bit deflated. What is the best piece of advice you can give to someone in that situation?
It may be different. I'll give my 2 cents and then let Matt chew on his.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more of a deliberate kind of guy. Um, just stick with it. You can pivot, you can do what you need to, but you got to stick with it, and you got to learn enough of the skills to get you ahead. And when you're starting out something new, you're gonna suck. And so how long can you stick with it determines how successful you can be. And I think that's what separates you, Michael, from 99.99% of people. I mean, no one told you, hey, you got to go door knock, 100 doors a week. No one told you, hey, you got to, reach out to neighbors, or you got to do X, or you got to do Y. You just did it. And all of that pain and all of the second guessing in your head, it ain't like it wasn't happening for you. You're human just like everyone else. What separated you from the rest of the pack is that you did it anyway. You stuck with it.
Yep. Guys, if we just expand our time horizon for success, you'll win. A good old Hormozyism right there. So we all go through struggles, and expanding your time horizon, you will win. Some people win quick. Some people will take a long time, but you will win. Matt, what do you got for us?
Honestly, it's very similar to what Tristan was saying. And if my buddy Tony's listening to this, he's going to smile, because money comes and money goes. There's mountains and valleys and everything we do, whether it's like your family life, and in business, and everything's hard. No matter what you do, you just get to choose your heart, and just work your booty off, because it's just exactly what Tristan was saying.
I got one caveat
Stick
to
to
that
it.
too. I got one caveat.
What do you got?
Michael, the only person that pushed you, that had you do it, was your wife. And so the people you surround yourself with is just as important as anything else. Okay. You got toxic people in your life that are talking you down. I mean, if it's your family, love you, mean it, but arm's length. Okay. Don't get tied up. You got enough of your head trash going through your own head. You don't need someone else's perspective, lowering you down as well. And so, being surrounded by Matt, it's truly a blessing. I mean, everyone deserves to have a Matt in their life. He's an amazing person, amazing father, amazing business partner. I'm blessed. But on the other end, my wife, fantastic person. She was writing bandit signs with me when no one else believed in me, and my parents had told me to get a job the 8th time that day. So you gotta have people in your corner that love you, that want to see the best for you. And if you can surround yourself by good people and you can stick with it long enough, you're gonna do okay in life.
100%. Guys, I think that is a overarching principle that we need to remember, is that surrounding yourself with good people raises the tide of all boats, right? And some of my worst times, my wife was very encouraging to me, right? And now we have a couple children, another one on the way. The other day, I was having a very difficult time, right? I'm going through a season where I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and I was having a difficult time. And all 3 of my family members showed up, and my wife had custom made these niche sweatshirts for all of them. And they were all wearing those, and they just came and gave me a hug and was like, you got to keep going. You're doing good. And having that in your life, that is invaluable. You got to have it. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys met each other, that we've met each other, and hopefully we can keep pouring into each other in this community and do some special things together.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, thanks for having us. I appreciate you thinking highly of us enough to have us on the show. And absolutely, I'm excited to see where this not only goes next 12, 24 months, but 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So,
All right, fellas, thanks for being on. Go get some deals. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Peace.